Hi teachers, we have come to the end of Unit 4. This is Week 5, Day 5 of the unit Growing Stronger. This week was titled Stronger Together, addressing the essential question, how do we overcome difficulties? So this video will go over some of the big moments of the lesson so you can deliver it to your students. So the project component we were looking at here was the cross-text thematic essay. So students will start off with an academic conversation to review what they have done in this unit. So some of the questions here: one change they made to their thematic essay based on feedback, one new academic word, which story from the unit had the greatest impact, and what was one new word, phrase, or skill that they learned from a classmate during this unit. One way to prepare students for this discussion is to assign this slide so students can complete these sentences so they are prepared for the discussion. Another way would be to put this on a document so students can prepare for their discussion in that way and have all of their text there for them. You can also choose to add some of the different moments of the lesson in there as well if you're choosing to share this with your students as a document. After the academic conversation, students will conclude their work for the unit. That includes finishing and submitting the final draft of their essay, so whatever protocols you have in place for that, for finishing up and submitting their work. Then they will do an academic vocabulary workshop to apply some of the vocabulary they've used in this unit. And finally, in the closing and connecting, making personal, cultural, and thematic connections to the unit. So the purpose of today is not only to submit their work, but to celebrate the work that they've done, to be able to celebrate all that they've been able to do, all they've been able to learn, as well as making connections to their lives. So they know that this is not just about reading and writing an essay, but that these themes are applicable to their own lives. For the academic vocabulary workshop, you can assign this slide directly to them, individually, in partners, or in small groups. If you wanted to do this whole class as an instructional activity, you could have students respond in the chat or use a polling tool like Mentimeter that's linked right here. If you're using Zoom, you also have the polling feature there, so you can do the questions one at a time while presenting this screen. If you wanted to assign this as more of a test, you could do this as a Google form. Lots of different options here for assessing their knowledge of academic vocabulary and where they could put all of these words. The definitions of the words are also linked here, so if you shared this slide with them, students could refresh their memories on what these words mean. So another way to scaffold this activity just a little bit. Finally, the closing and connecting. There's 4 different activities here, and you have the choice of which closing activities would work best for your lesson and for your students. So the connect to the unit talks about those personal connections. You can assign this as a writing task. You can have this as a discussion. The extend the learning talks about Michael Jordan and has students read his profile. Another discussion question here, discussing the idea of what it means to grow and change. And here, agreeing or disagreeing in order to improve, something must be difficult. So there's a variety of ways that you could assign all of these. You could assign these as writing tasks, discussion tasks, assessment-based tasks, but all of these definitely help students connect to the ideas that they have engaged with in this lesson. So that wraps this up. So students will start out with an academic conversation, submit their work through some academic vocabulary, and finally close and connect, making personal connections to the texts and to the work that they have done throughout this unit. So that wraps up lesson 5.5, and that wraps up unit 4 of the middle school ENL standalone curriculum. If you have a moment, please fill out this feedback form for the design team. Your feedback definitely helps us improve our lessons. You can scan this QR code right here. You can also click the link down here to a Google form, but you must be logged in with your DOE username. Thanks so much, and I hope that you are able to have some great discussion, reflection, and assessment with your students.